Deep in a secluded forest, far from the hustle and bustle of city life, lies a mysterious boarding school. Every 3 years, this exclusive institution opens its doors to a select few students, no more than 13, who meet their stringent, undisclosed criteria. This video explores the intriguing story of homeschool, a place that promises privilege but hides a world of secrets. Homeschool is a magnet for wealthy families, attracting rich kids, drawn to its unique curriculum and luxurious amenities, promising a home away from home. But appearances can be deceiving. While outsiders covet a place within its walls, those inside yearn for freedom. What seems like a haven of privilege is, in reality, a world of isolation, governed by countless strict rules and regulations. Just how strict? Keep watching to find out. The admissions process itself is shrouded in mystery. Every 3 years, parents, not the prospective students, take the entrance exam. Despite the school's notoriously rigorous rules, parents are eager to enroll their children, each driven by their motivations. Some seek to transform their children into idealized versions of themselves. Others wish to shield their offspring from the harsh realities of the outside world. Still others simply crave a place where their children will receive constant care and attention. The motivations are as diverse as the families themselves. Unsurprisingly, the students who gain admission are strikingly attractive, a veritable feast for the eyes. Each intake at homeschool offers only 2 scholarships, making them incredibly competitive, with odds of roughly 2 in 1,000. This year, we follow 2 scholarship hopefuls. A driven young man sees the scholarship as his ticket to a better future, relieving his mother of the financial burden of tuition. Meanwhile, a young orphan named Maki dreams of the opportunities a prestigious education like this can offer. Against all odds, both of them secure a coveted spot at homeschool. The welcome reception is a lavish affair. Students are given their uniforms and treated to a decadent spread of refreshments. The headmaster assures them that their 3 years at homeschool will be an unforgettable experience. Little do they know just how true his words will be. Under the cover of darkness, the students are sedated and transported to the school, their journey shrouded in secrecy. They awaken to find themselves on a bus, traveling deeper and deeper into the forest, towards their isolated destination. Upon arrival, they are introduced to Mr. Amin, a stern figure who outlines the school's strict rules. First, all phones are confiscated. Communication with the outside world is strictly forbidden. Second, lights out is at a fixed time, and leaving one's room after curfew is strictly prohibited. Waking up late is also unacceptable. Everyone rises with the crowing of the rooster. Finally, while meals are provided during the week, students are responsible for their own food on weekends. But the most important rule, the one emphasized above all others, is the absolute prohibition against leaving the school grounds. Venturing into the surrounding forest, especially, is strictly forbidden, with dire warnings of getting lost or seriously injured. Of course, as the old saying goes, rules are made to be broken, especially by teenagers. Driven by youthful curiosity and a thirst for adventure, a group of students hatches a plan to break out and explore the forbidden forest. Unbeknownst to them, the headmaster is aware of their clandestine scheme, choosing to observe from a distance as they venture into the unknown, allowing them to experience the consequences of their actions firsthand. What terrors await them in the shadowy depths of the forest? Deep in the woods, Nai, Maki, and Tibet are enjoying a peaceful stroll when a sudden announcement calls for everyone to assemble back at the main building. Half the students are missing. Pen reveals he saw them sneaking off. Although Nai, Maki, Tibet, and the other 3 remaining students had nothing to do with the escape, they are tasked with finding the runaways. Rule number 6 of homeschool dictates that students are responsible for each other's safety. With the looming threat of nightfall and the dangerous nature of the surrounding forest, the 6 split up to search, the urgency of the situation heavy in the air. Thinking ahead, Pen cleverly marks a tree as a reference point. Meanwhile, the runaway group has been wandering aimlessly through the dense forest for hours, their initial excitement waning as exhaustion sets in. Mock suggests turning back, but some of the others refuse, preferring the uncertainty of the forest to the confines of the school. This disagreement escalates into a brief scuffle, ultimately splitting the group. Half of them follow Mock back towards the school, while the remaining 3 stubbornly continue their ill-fated adventure. As darkness descends, Mock's group realizes they are lost. A sudden, eerie howl sends them running in terror. Just when panic sets in, they stumble upon Maki and her search party. Maki, curious about the strange sound, wants to investigate, but Tibet urges caution, pointing out Fuji's bleeding injury. Returning to the school is their priority. However, the forest has become a disorienting maze, and finding their way back seems impossible. This is where Pen's ingenuity saves the day. Despite his seemingly goofy demeanor, Pen proves to be a strategic thinker. He had marked their path with symbols along the way, and thanks to his foresight, the group navigated safely back to the school. However, 3 students are still missing, and the search must continue. White, burdened by guilt for causing the trouble, insists on joining the next search party. Nye, Bill, and Pleng venture back into the darkening woods, their flashlights eventually giving out before they find any sign of the missing students. Nye rallies the 2 girls, urging them to press on. Suddenly, they come face to face with Mr. Forban, standing silently in the shadows, startling them. Elsewhere, Jingjai, one of the remaining runaways, regrets her decision to follow the 2 boys deeper into the forest. The discovery of a decaying animal carcass, coupled with another terrifying howl, sends the boys fleeing in terror, leaving Jingjai to stumble and fall as she desperately tries to catch up. Luckily, Nye's group stumbles upon her. They also encounter the 2 runaway boys, who have also run into Mr. Forban. With everyone accounted for, the group finally returns to homeschool. Back at the school, Mr. Amin explains why he allowed the students to venture into the forest. He wanted them to understand the true meaning of home. It's not a place, he explains, but a sense of belonging and mutual support. He emphasizes the importance of relying on one another and never leaving anyone behind. This, he declares, is their first lesson at homeschool. Later, as Maki walks down the hallway lined with photos of past students, she pauses before a picture of Run. She reveals a secret. Her real name is Jin, and Run is her brother. Years ago, Run entrusted her to the care of a nun, forbidding her from ever attending homeschool. She hasn't seen him since. The next morning brings the students' first official class, a rigorous physical training session led by Mr. Champ. Every weekday morning, they are required to participate in these exercises. For their first assignment, Mr. Champ tasks them with running 10 laps, emphasizing both speed and endurance. When Pleng stumbles and falls, Mr. Champ helps her up, reminding everyone that if one person stops, the entire group must run an additional 5 laps. The demanding nature of homeschool is beginning to reveal itself. After their rigorous morning workout, the students gather for breakfast, enjoying their meal with gusto. One student even asks for seconds, but is politely refused. A school rule dictates that everyone receives the same portion, no more, no less. Next, the students are introduced to the faculty. Miss Yani, the school's powerful matriarch, serves as both headmistress and foreign language teacher. The glamorous Miss Freyaphon oversees the infirmary and teaches psychology, nursing, and natural healing. Mr. Prasad, a lover of tranquility and beach runs, appears stern but cares deeply for his students, teaching social studies and history. Miss Deluxe, with her powerful voice that can send shivers down your spine, teaches math and science. Mr. Champ, in addition to physical training, instructs students in sports biology. Finally, there's Mr. Forban, the school's general manager. This week, there are no formal classes. Instead, Mr. Amin announces a special assignment. Mr. Forban brings out a flock of ducklings, one for each student to care for. Any duckling that gets injured, lost, or dies will result in a penalty for its caretaker. The students, mostly pampered rich kids accustomed to lives of luxury, are taken aback by this unexpected responsibility. The thought of raising ducks leaves them bewildered. Pen, surprisingly, takes a liking to the fluffy yellow creatures. Maki proposes dividing the tasks. One group will search for food, while the other builds a shelter for the ducklings. The girls follow Pen to the kitchen to see what they can find. Pen, having read some farming books, knows that ducks can eat rice mixed with chopped vegetables. They get to work, some washing rice and preparing it for cooking, others searching for suitable vegetables. The shelter building group, mostly boys, is less organized. Some of the more hot-headed students bicker constantly. Tibet, however, focuses on the task at hand, quickly gathering wood to construct a duckling house. Jingjai, Hugo, and Jin, however, contribute nothing, preferring to sit idly by. The headmistress observes their inaction but remains silent. This week, she reminds herself, there are no penalties for duckling neglect, only for injury. Frustrated with their lack of participation, the other students eventually decide to finish the task themselves, leaving the trio to their own devices. Returning with the food, Pen explains the best way to care for the ducklings. Jin and Hugo, bored and harboring a dislike for Pen, deliberately trip him as he carries a bowl of duckling food, causing him to fall flat on his face. To add insult to injury, they dump the food over him. Provoked, Pen pushes Hugo, which draws laughter and teasing from the other students. Hugo, enraged, retaliates by shoving Pen even harder. As the boys try to intervene, Pen collapses on the ground, writhing and repeatedly apologizing. It takes him a while to regain his composure. Witnessing Hugo's cruelty, White slaps him and tells him to stay away from Pen. Hugo's temper flares and a fight nearly erupts. Nye steps in, advising Hugo to direct his anger at him, instead of resorting to violence against a girl. Maki tries to calm the situation, but Jean accuses her of attention-seeking. The headmistress, observing the escalating tension, calls for lunchtime, directing the students to the dining hall. The ducklings and the simmering resentments will have to wait. Lunch arrives, and the students are met with a less than appetizing meal of curry and bread. The soup is overly salty, and the bread is so hard it could knock out a buffalo. No substitutions are allowed. Students can either eat what's served or go hungry until the next meal. Tough choices for pampered palates. After lunch, the students head to the duckling pen. Pen has already named his duckling, and Maki and White follow suit. Nai, unable to come up with a name, follows Tibet's lead, and calls his two ducklings Bo 1 and Bo 2. Simple, but hey, handsome boys can get away with anything. Jingjai, Hugo, and Jin, however, remain aloof, relying on White's kindness to feed their neglected ducklings. White, ever compassionate, even names their ducklings for them, hoping to soften their hearts. At the end of the day, Mr. Amin asks the students what they've learned from caring for the ducklings. Met with silence, he informs them that they will continue the assignment until they each discover their lesson. Hugo boldly declares that he sees no lesson to be learned. Mr. Amin then offers an enticing incentive. Anyone who successfully cares for their duckling until the designated date will receive a special treat with each meal, exemption from morning exercises, and a private bedroom. Hugo and Jin, eyes lighting up at the prospect of these privileges, immediately seek out Pen, feigning friendship and asking him to care for their ducklings. Pen, kind-hearted and still reeling from the earlier humiliation, agrees. Jingjai, equally opportunistic, approaches Bill and Pleng, claiming a hurt foot and asking them to take over her duckling duties. That night, a fierce thunderstorm raged. Pen, worried about the ducklings, runs to the pen and carefully gathers his 3 charges into a container. Seeing the other vulnerable ducklings, he can't bear to leave them exposed to the elements, and brings them inside as well, returning later to retrieve his own. The next morning, the storm had wreaked havoc. The duckling pen is in ruins, and the ducklings are nowhere to be seen. Those who have lost their ducklings are tasked with finding them, while those who manage to keep theirs safe are allowed to stay for breakfast. There's a catch, however. If the searchers don't return by the end of breakfast, they forfeit their meal. Failure to find their ducklings will result in further penalties. The unlucky group returns empty-handed and too late for breakfast, only to be met with Hugo's smug taunts. He does, however, offer them 6 pieces of bread he saved, 1 for each of the girls. Maki, ever generous, shares half of her bread with the boys. Touched by her gesture, the others follow suit, embodying the spirit of sharing in adversity. After their meager breakfast, the great duckling hunt resumes. Ironically, the first duckling found belongs to Jingjai, the very person who shirked her responsibilities. The second belongs to Nai. Jingjai gleefully returns to the school with her duckling, but Nai, determined to help the others, entrusts his duckling to her care and continues the search. The remaining search party grows increasingly discouraged. Just as they are about to give up, they decide to consult Pen. Pen, with his surprising wisdom, suggests checking the original duckling pen. He reasons that the ducklings, driven by hunger, might have instinctively returned to the place where they were fed. Sure enough, the entire flock is there, safe and sound. The others are amazed by Pen's insight. He explains that ducks are creatures of habit and associate the pen with food and safety. Thanks to Pen's unexpected wisdom, the group gains a newfound appreciation for the ducklings and begins to understand Mr. Amin's lesson. They decide to rebuild the pen, stronger and better than before. Meanwhile, Nai's group, still searching in the forest, stumbles upon a forbidden area, setting the stage for another adventure. Despite Nai's caution, Maki's curiosity gets the better of her. She approaches the forbidden area, wanting to understand why it's off limits. Suddenly, Mr. Prasad appears, ordering them to return, explaining that all the ducklings have been found and reiterating the strict prohibition against entering that area. That night, Jingjai and Hugo sneak out to the duckling pen for a clandestine rendezvous. During their tryst, Jingjai notices a motionless duckling. Upon closer inspection, they realize it's dead. Hugo checks the name tag and discovers it's his duckling. A sinister idea sparks in Hugo's mind. He switches the name tag with Pen's. The next morning, Mr. Amin summons everyone to the meeting room. On the table lies the dead duckling, now bearing Pen's name tag. Everyone is shocked. Pen is known for his meticulous care of the ducklings. Pen tries to explain that it's not his duckling, but Mr. Amin refuses to listen. As punishment, Pen is confined to his room until he confesses to his supposed wrongdoing. The following day, the remaining students are rewarded with the promised special meal. The headmistress presents them with hamburgers, describing them as being made with special ingredients and requiring extensive preparation. The students savor their reward until they realize the horrific truth. The special ingredient is their beloved ducklings. They are horrified, but the headmistress simply states that it's their punishment, refusing to elaborate or answer any questions. Unable to believe her words, the students rush to the duckling pen, only to find it empty. Feeling deeply disturbed and betrayed, they decide to boycott classes. Maki and a few others, fearing further repercussions, reluctantly return to the classroom. The rebellious group plots their escape. Their plan to use their confiscated phones to send an SOS is thwarted by Mr. Prasad's arrival, summoning them to class. They attempt to flee, but Mr. Forbin intercepts them, brandishing a cane. Left with no other option, they reluctantly enter the classroom. Mr. Prasad locks the door behind them before beginning his lesson. When Nai quietly questions the locked door, Mr. Prasad explodes, silencing him with a shout and forbidding any further questions. Intimidated by his outburst, the students fall silent. Mr. Prasad begins a bizarre history lesson. He distributes confession sheets, demanding that each student write down every mistake they've made since arriving at homeschool. Refusal, he warns, will result in confinement until bedtime. Left with no choice, the students comply. The next morning, Maki awakens from a disturbing dream, a flashback to a traumatic childhood experience. She checks the clock and realizes she's overslept and missed morning exercises. Strangely, the usual wake-up bell hasn't rung. Maki tries to rouse everyone for morning exercises, but some are too deeply asleep to care. Only 3 boys make it to the field, the rest refuse to get up. The consequence? The 3 present students must run laps for everyone until the entire group shows up. The latecomers eventually arrive, but 2 students are still missing. So Mr. Champ continues the punishment. The late arrivals are forced to watch their friends suffer the consequences of their tardiness. Breakfast is another culinary disaster. The chicken is burnt, the rice is mushy. Even pigs would turn their noses up at it. When some students threaten to refuse the unappetizing meal, the headmistress delivers a chilling ultimatum. If anyone doesn't eat, the rest of you will be forced to eat their portions. And if you don't finish everything, you'll skip the next meal as well. Nai questions the headmistress's methods, pointing out the contradiction between her earlier lesson about compassion and these harsh punishments. The headmistress calmly replies, "If you truly care for each other, you won't cause trouble for the rest of the group." Resigned, the students force down the unpalatable breakfast. Later, Maki and White approach Miss Yanni to inquire about Pen. They learn he is undergoing psychological treatment due to his confinement, and are told they can visit him after classes. For days, the students endured punishments without any proper lessons. Miss Yanni offers no explanations for their seemingly arbitrary disciplinary actions. In Miss Deluxe's class, the students are given a series of difficult and lengthy questions to answer within 5 minutes. If anyone answers incorrectly, the entire class is held back. To make matters worse, Miss Deluxe paces the room, singing off key as they works, adding new questions whenever she spots a mistake. The torment continues until every student answers correctly. Meanwhile, Pen remains locked in a room, desperately pleading with Mr. Forbin for release. Mr. Forbin gives him a piece of candy, claiming it's part of his treatment, and leaves him alone. Pen huddles in a corner, repeating apologies, the confinement triggering memories of his childhood, when his father would lock him away for not being normal. When White and Maki finally visit Pen, they find him in a state of extreme distress, clutching his head. They work to calm him down, eventually succeeding. Pen, with his remarkable memory, recalls that his duckling had a distinctive spot on its left foot, proving the dead duckling wasn't his. He also remembers specific details about the other ducklings, but admits he doesn't recognize the deceased one. Maki suspects foul play, believing the teachers orchestrated the incident to punish them. White, ever impulsive, sets off to confront the teachers, determined to get to the bottom of the situation. She knows that directly challenging the teachers could lead to further punishment for her friends, but she's willing to take the risk. Miss Freyaphon, however, greets White's accusations with a cryptic smile, advising her to focus on finding a solution instead of placing blame. She and Mr. Prasad then leave, leaving White and her friends bewildered and frustrated. Witnessing the confrontation, Nai and Tibet approach White, who recounts the incident. Nai interprets the situation as another lesson from the teachers. White, however, is deeply affected. She is sensitive to false accusations, having experienced them firsthand before arriving at homeschool. After her parents' untimely deaths, she was wrongly suspected of involvement, leading to her expulsion from her previous school. A teacher there had also falsely accused her of inappropriate behavior, further solidifying the mistrust surrounding her. This painful past fuels her current distress. The immediate concern is clearing Pen's name and uncovering the truth about the dead duckling. The 4 friends agree that someone framed Pen. The next day at mealtime, As the students examine their food for any unusual ingredients, Mr. Forban arrives with a special meal for Pen, asking Jingjai to deliver it. This continues for several days. Jingjai, visibly uncomfortable, carries the meal to Pen's room. Maki, sensing Jingjai's unease, suspects her involvement and decides to observe. As Jingjai approaches Pen's room, Hugo appears and tries to stop her and Maki from interacting. The punishments continue, escalating to physically demanding exercises like push-ups. The girls struggle, and the boys are forced to take over. Hugo complains, and Maki points out that the increased punishments began after Pen's confinement, implying a connection between the two. She suggests that if the guilty party confesses, the punishments might stop. After days of observation, suspicion falls squarely on Jingjai and Hugo. When Hugo refuses to admit anything, Fuji, in a fit of frustration, resorts to physical intimidation. Finally, Jingjai breaks down and confesses, with Hugo reluctantly admitting his guilt. They reveal that Hugo switched the name tags, framing Pen. Mr. Amin reveals he knew all along. The dead duckling, he explains, wasn't any of theirs. He orchestrated the entire scenario to teach them a valuable lesson. Never let an innocent person be wrongly punished. With the truth revealed, Pen is released, while Hugo and Jingjai are left to reflect on their actions. The ducklings, it turns out, are alive and well. Pen, overjoyed, rushes to see them. Hugo and Jin try to apologize, but Pen ignores them. Suddenly, the headmistress calls an assembly. To everyone's surprise, she appoints Maki as class president. Maki is taken aback and follows the headmistress to her office for a briefing on her new responsibilities. When Maki asks why she was chosen, Mr. Amin cryptically states that she reminds him of a former student, a fourth-year senior named Run, hinting at a connection between them. He promises Maki that she will meet Run someday, but not yet. Later that night, Mr. Amin calls an emergency meeting. He announces a special opportunity for one student to go home for the weekend. The student with the most votes from their classmates will be granted this privilege. The competition and the tension begin to rise. The next day brings an even more challenging assignment. Miss Freyaphon instructs the students to write letters home. Some diligently compose heartfelt messages, while others, resistant to the task, fold their papers into paper airplanes. Fuji, recalling her strained relationship with her father, struggles with the assignment. A former school rebel, she endured constant criticism and comparisons to her younger brother. Her father, harboring traditional patriarchal views and preoccupied with extramarital affairs, favored her brother, leaving Fuji with unresolved resentment. After writing just 2 words, "Dear Dad," she abandons the letter. The voting process for the weekend trip home proves equally fraught with tension. Everyone is desperate to leave homeschool. Mek pleads for votes but is met with resistance. Jin brazenly offers bribes of 1 million baht, sparking outrage and accusations of cheating. Mek shifts tactics, attempting to win over the girls by buying them drinks and offering to be their water-fetching servant for the entire term in exchange for their votes. Jin approaches White, but she cuts him short, reminding him that not everything can be bought with money. Jin, stung by her words, is about to retaliate when Nai intervenes, protecting White. Playing resorts to a classic, albeit manipulative, tactic, playing the victim. While sweeping the courtyard, she pretends to stumble and faint, clutching her head dramatically and lamenting her inherent fragility. When this fails to garner sufficient sympathy, she takes it a step further, collapsing unconscious and being carried to the infirmary, muttering deliriously about wanting to go home. Her scheming doesn't end there. Back home, her busy, often absent mother had inadvertently taught Pling that self-inflicted injuries were a surefire way to gain attention. Continuing her charade, she offers to help Tibet and Pen in the kitchen, then, accidentally, cuts her hand. Fuji witnesses this staged incident, shocked by Pling's masterful performance. Fuji confronts Pling, accusing her of feigning weakness. However, her intervention backfires, and Bill misinterprets it as an attack on Pling, further fueling the conflict. Later that afternoon, Bill finds Pling lying on the ground, bleeding from a head wound, and rushes her to the infirmary. Pling continues her act, tearfully pleading with Miss Freyaphon to go home to her mother. Miss Freyaphon, however, gently reminds Pling that sometimes acceptance is necessary, pointing out that her mother wants her to stay at home school. After days of drama, the results are announced. Unsurprisingly, Pling wins the coveted weekend pass with 6 votes. Fuji protests, accusing Pling of deception and manipulation. The others dismiss her accusations as jealousy. Fuji, standing alone against the group, vehemently defends her position, certain of Pling's dishonesty. Pling in turn denies any wrongdoing. The standoff continues until Mr. Amin arrives, demanding an explanation. Fuji insists on telling her side of the story, Convinced that the truth will prevail, Pleng remains steadfast in her denial. Mr. Amin shakes his head and shows the students video footage, revealing Pleng's staged fainting spell and self-inflicted head injury. Pleng continues to deny everything, accusing the teachers of fabricating the evidence. Miss Freifan calmly explains that they are well aware of each student's background, and that Pleng has no medical history of illness or fragility. As a result, the vote is declared invalid, and no one goes home. Pleng continues to plead for their belief, but her cries fall on deaf ears. Fuji is enraged and nearly attacks Pleng, but White holds her back. The other students, fed up with Pleng's lies, ignore her pleas. Even Pen gets up and walks away. Back in her room, Pleng clings to the hope that Bill will still believe her. But Bill is deeply disappointed. After a heated exchange with Fuji, Pleng storms out. White, ever compassionate, reminds the others to be kind, emphasizing their mutual dependence in this isolated environment. She and Maki go looking for Pleng but can't find her. They encounter 3 of the boys and split up to search. After searching the entire school grounds, they finally located Pleng standing precariously on the second-floor balcony. Tibet, spotting her, calmly tries to dissuade her from jumping, assuring her that while a fall might cause injury, it wouldn't be fatal, but would certainly be painful. He gently coaxes her back to safety. Pleng expresses remorse for deceiving Bill and promises to change, but Bill remains distant. Maki and the others encourage Pleng, assuring her that forgiveness will come with time. Later that night, Miss Yani expresses her concerns to Mr. Amin, fearing this year's cohort is different, potentially headed for trouble, even suggesting a parallel to Run's fate, though she doesn't elaborate on what happened to him. Mr. Amin dismisses her worries, insisting that Run wasn't a failure, and instructs her to proceed to the next phase of their plan. The following day, Miss Yani gathers the students and announces an upcoming exam. The students are apprehensive, having received little formal instruction. Miss Yani explains that the exam will assess their basic knowledge and skills, refusing to provide further details about the subject matter. The students are left in the dark, unsure how to prepare. At exam time, Mr. Amin reveals that the test will require them to utilize their intellect, strategic thinking, and physical abilities. He dangles a tempting reward. The winner will be allowed to call someone on the phone. Furthermore, each student can choose a subject they excel in and approach the exam in any way they see fit. The exam consists of 3 rounds. Mr. Amin reveals that only 1 student in the school's history has ever reached the final round. Run. 5 subjects are offered, and the students choose their preferred areas of expertise. As the students disperse to their designated exam rooms, each is met by a teacher who attempts to intimidate them before asking why they chose that particular subject. In the history exam room, the students are faced with a daunting 100 questions to answer in just 30 minutes. The physical education exam is a straightforward race against Mr. Champ. For English, the students have 1 hour to decipher the hidden message within a complex text. Higher scores advance, while lower scores result in immediate failure. In the agriculture room, Bill's task is to identify and arrange at least 12 different types of flowers in a vase within an hour. The science exam requires answering 20 challenging questions in an hour. Exploiting the rule allowing any method to pass the exam, Hugo and Jingjai attach themselves to Pen, hoping to piggyback on his intelligence. White protests the unfairness, but her complaints are ignored. When she tells Pen to cover his answers, Jingjai threatens to rip her answer sheet in half. Resigned, White helps Pen, knowing her cooperation is the only way to ensure they all pass, allowing Hugo and Jingjai to freeload. As the exam begins, everyone focuses intensely on their tasks. Bill wanders through the forest searching for flowers, but only finds 1 type. Lost and frustrated, he bursts into tears, wanting to quit. The English passage is unusually disjointed, with no clear connections between sentences. Tibet suggests a collaborative approach, and by working together, they manage to decipher the hidden message. In the history room, the students race against the clock, frantically reading and answering questions. Driven by his father's relentless pressure to excel, Nai, conditioned to believe only first place matters, pushes himself to the limit. After a grueling 30 minutes, he emerges victorious. The 2 students who chose the physical education exam face an even tougher challenge. Despite their best efforts, they can't keep up with Mr. Champ, collapsing in exhaustion. Learning that their opponent is a national athlete, they regret their earlier boasting. Those who fail the first round are marked with an X on their foreheads and sent to the meeting room to observe the remaining contestants. The successful students proceed to Miss Freifan's classroom to prepare for the next round. Mech, seeing his twin brother Mach among the eliminated, can't resist taunting him. For the second round, Miss Freyaphon advises the students to carefully analyze and understand the task before proceeding. They change into designated outfits and enter a room filled with chairs. Hugo jokes about musical chairs, and to his dismay, his joke becomes reality. The rules are simple: secure a seat when the music stops. Those left standing are eliminated. While the music plays, anything goes. Hugo, predictably, resorts to brute force. As the music starts, the students scramble for seats, pushing and shoving. With only one seat left, Hugo and Jingjai face off. Hugo, abandoning any pretense of chivalry, jumps onto the last seat, eliminating Jingjai. However, before the music stops, he urges Jingjai to steal Pleng's seat. Jingjai, fueled by Hugo's encouragement, lunges at Pleng, trying to wrestle the seat away from her. Infuriated, White kicks Jingjai and launches into a shouting match. Tibet, seeing the escalating chaos, declares that if the chairs are the problem, they should simply destroy them, preventing anyone from advancing. He proceeds to demolish his chair and attempts to do the same to Hugo's, leading to a brawl. The group descends into chaos once again. While the eliminated students watch the mayhem with amusement, Miss Yanni enters the room. She encourages them to reflect on their own failures instead of reveling in the others' struggles. The fighting continues until Maki, her voice hoarse from shouting, manages to restore order. She proposes restarting the game fairly, with a strict rule against violence. Only Jingjai and Hugo object, the others agree. The game begins anew. While outright fighting is prohibited, pushing, shoving, and grabbing are still rampant. The boys gang up on Hugo to give Pen an advantage, while the girls engage in a similar struggle, though Maki is overpowered by Jingjai. Seeing Maki's predicament, Pen headbutts Jingjai, sending her sprawling and securing the seat for Maki. With one seat remaining, Jingjai and Hugo face off again. This time, Jingjai is quicker, but they both end up wrestling on the floor as the music stops. Since neither is seated, they are both eliminated, receiving X marks and a less than warm welcome back in the observation room. For the next round, with one fewer chair, Pleng, overcome with guilt, chooses to withdraw from the competition. In the final round, with only one chair remaining, Miss Freyaphon reiterates the rules. Before the music begins, Maki stops everyone, urging them to analyze Miss Freyaphon's words carefully. She realizes that the instructions only specified finding a seat, not necessarily sitting on a chair. Thinking outside the box, the students sit on the floor, anxiously awaiting the music to stop. To their relief, Miss Freyaphon declares them all winners. The final round, overseen by Mr. Amin, proves to be the most challenging. The students are each given a blank sheet of paper and 1 hour to find and answer a hidden question, with only one chance to speak their answer aloud. The challenge creates a divide. Maki believes they should continue their collaborative approach, while Nai and Tibet, driven by the single winner prize and the need to decipher the hidden question, opt for individual strategies. Each student employs a different method to reveal the hidden message. Some hold their papers up to the light, others use string to trace the surface. Some submerge their papers in water, and others try using ice. Pen, recalling a similar experience in art class, attempts to reveal a message written in lemon juice by holding the paper near a flame. None of their attempts work. The time runs out, and the papers remain blank. Pen boldly answers blank, reasoning that there was never a question on the paper to begin with. While logical, his answer is deemed incorrect, earning him the first X. The remaining group is given another hour to find the answer. White is furious, desperate to call a reporter and expose the school. Nai is equally determined to win, hoping to uncover the reason his father sent him there. Tibet yearns to speak with his mother, a musician whose health declined sharply after his father's death, causing her to abandon her craft. He had dreamt of becoming a doctor for her sake, but she insisted he attend homeschool. Swayed by Mr. Amin's promise of full financial support if he earned a scholarship. Now, he simply wants to know how she is doing. Maki, seemingly less invested in the prize, states her goal is to understand Mr. Amin's plan, though she keeps her motivations close to her chest. She remains committed to teamwork, sensing a deeper lesson embedded within the challenge. The four of them brainstorm, from the riverbank to the library, but the blank paper remains a mystery. Suddenly, Tibet suggests presenting the blank papers to Mr. Amin, hoping he might reveal the hidden question. With nothing to lose, they agree. They approach Mr. Amin and explain their reasoning. He is pleased with their collaborative approach, but presents a new dilemma. Only one of them can receive the prize. He tasks them with deciding amongst themselves who is most deserving. Maki and White readily concede to Tibet, acknowledging his greater need to contact his mother. Nai concurs, recognizing Tibet's worthiness. Tibet is given 10 minutes to make his call. Tibet holds the phone, then sets it down. He realizes he wouldn't have this opportunity without his friends, and declares they all deserve the reward. Mr. Amin retrieves the phone, commending them for their teamwork, and reminding them that true understanding will come when they learn to truly listen. Meanwhile, Miss Yani addresses the eliminated students, explaining that their failure stemmed from their competitive, rather than collaborative, approach, a direct contradiction of the school's emphasis on mutual support. Her words, however, seem lost on the disgruntled group. She further emphasizes the importance of sacrifice for the sake of friendship, even if it means foregoing personal gain. Later that night, the 4 finalists discuss the exam, recognizing that despite not winning the individual prize, they have gained a deeper understanding of one another. Suddenly, Maki notices Miss Freyafan hurrying off alone and decides to follow her. Tibet rushes after Maki, stopping her. Maki finally reveals her true motivation for attending homeschool, finding her brother. Elsewhere, in a dark, secluded room, Run is held captive. Mr. Amin visits him, mentioning a new student who reminds him of Run. He mentions Maki's name, causing Run to react with shock and fear. Mr. Amin then covers Run's head again. He leads Run to another room, where other teachers are present, claiming they are there to help him. While Run desperately screams to be released, Maki confides in Tibet, revealing that her brother, Run, disappeared 6 years ago. She believes the school staff is somehow involved in his disappearance, and that he might be held captive somewhere on the grounds. As they talk, they notice a figure approaching and quickly hide. Tibet urges Maki to return to the dorms, warning that further investigation could lead to trouble, possibly even confinement. The following day, Miss Deluxe assigns a research project, requiring students to write a report on a scientific or historical topic, and analyze its global significance. The presentations are scheduled for the next class. The students pair up for the assignment. Plang attempts to reconcile with Bill, but Bill rebuffs her. Seeing Plang alone, Pen kindly invites her to join his group. While the 4 friends study in the library, Tibet quietly offers to help Maki find Run. White, observing their hushed exchange, misinterprets their closeness and teases Nai about a potential romance. Nai, oblivious, doesn't catch on, leading to playful banter between them. Meanwhile, Jingjai and Hugo are more interested in flirting than studying, ignoring Miss Yani's reprimands and continuing their public displays of affection. Exasperated, Miss Yani institutes rule number 7. No romantic relationships are allowed at homeschool. She emphasizes the importance of platonic friendships and mutual support, contrasting it with the impulsive, immature romantic attachments she observes developing. Hugo, the target of this new rule, is unfazed and continues to provoke Miss Yani. Jingjai also dismisses the rule, openly flirting with both Nai and Tibet, treating Hugo as a mere convenience. Fuji, disgusted by Jingjai's behavior, sees a reflection of her own unfaithful father. While studying together, Fuji notices Jingjai's unwavering gaze fixed on Nai. Unable to contain her anger, she confronts Jingjai, sparking a furious argument. Insults escalate, touching on sensitive family matters. Jingjai, enraged, physically attacks Fuji. Pen, as usual, becomes agitated by the conflict, while the others struggle to separate the 2 girls. The fight continues until Miss Deluxe intervenes, finally restoring order. Fuji sits down, while Jingjai storms out. Jingjai's volatile reaction to the mention of family stems from a traumatic childhood experience. She recalls her father taking her along to confront her mother about a supposed vegetarian lunch date, only to abandon them both in anger. Her mother, unrepentant, ignored Jingjai and went off with her younger lover, leaving a deep scar on Jingjai's emotional well-being. Hugo, ever the charmer, finds Jingjai brooding alone and approaches her, offering comfort and a sympathetic ear. Meanwhile, Nai and White work on their project. Bill, clearly attracted to Nai, asks for his help, and while he's away fetching materials, probes White about her feelings for him, even asking if she considers herself a rival. Nai, seemingly aware of Bill's interest, describes his ideal type as someone like White, though White remains indifferent. That night, Jingjai and Hugo share a romantic interlude by the creek, stargazing and ultimately ending up naked, sharing intimate stories. Jingjai recounts her difficult childhood and neglectful parents. Coincidentally, Hugo shares a similar experience, his parents favoring his older brother, Hunter, and blaming Hugo for Hunter's death. Lost in their shared vulnerability, they fail to notice Mr. Forbin observing them from a distance. Elsewhere, Maki and Tibet spot Miss Freyafan and Miss Yani leaving the school grounds and attempt to follow them discreetly. However, Plang and Pen spot them. Maki, determined to follow the teachers, runs off. Pen, worried about getting caught, hesitates but is persuaded by Plang to join the pursuit. Pen urges Maki to return before they are discovered, and with the teachers now out of sight, A disappointed Maki reluctantly agrees. Late that night, as the girls sleep soundly, the headmistress drags Jingjai out of bed. Hugo is already kneeling outside, punished for their clandestine romance. They both defend their actions, declaring rule number 7, ridiculous and challenging Miss Yani to let them be together, even suggesting confinement as a way to force them closer. Defiant, Hugo kicks Mr. Forban. Jingjai grabs a set of keys, locks Mr. Forban in a room, jumps into a parked car, and speeds off with Hugo. They soon realize they are lost, driving in circles within the school grounds. Even after running out of gas, they are still trapped in the forest. Undeterred, Hugo convinces Jingjai to continue on foot. Luckily, they encounter a police patrol car and hitch a ride. Hugo, suspicious of the officer, wants to get out, but the officer ignores their pleas. The car eventually returns them to home school, where they are once again confined. Later, Mr. Amin brings food to Run, promising his release if he agrees to revert to his former self. A week later, Mr. Amin offers Hugo and Jingjai a chance to redeem themselves. Their half-hearted apology, however, earns them another special punishment. Mr. Amin then visits the classroom and announces a new game, Lizard. Each student will receive a private phone call, assigning them a role as an animal. One of them will be the lizard. The lizard, Mr. Amin explains, can command the other animals to do anything, but must remain anonymous. The game ends when someone correctly identifies the lizard within 3 days. If the lizard is discovered before then, they will be punished. If anyone refuses to play, no one receives news from their letters home. The game begins. Tibet is the first to receive a phone call, followed by the rest of the group, each receiving their secret instructions. Classes continue as usual, with Mr. Prasad assigning homework. Mech, however, gets a double workload, courtesy of the lizard. At lunchtime, Fuji becomes the lizard's next target, receiving a note that reads, "Go hungry, darling." Furious, she demands that the lizard reveal themselves. Mech, already irritated by Mach's earlier taunts, accuses his brother of being the lizard. Mach vehemently denies it, claiming he's too busy being someone else's pawn. Mr. Amin intervenes, declaring neither of them the lizard and confining them both for their false accusation, as per the rules. Later, Maki and White receive instructions from the lizard to thoroughly clean every corner of the school, forbidding them from sleeping until the task is complete. Sympathetic to their plight, Tibet and Nai offer to help. As they clean, Maki begins analyzing the possible animal identities of their classmates, writing her deductions on a whiteboard. 4 identities remain unknown. That night, Pet is awakened and forced to run laps for 2 hours on the lizard's orders. Tibet and Nai, having helped with the cleaning, receive the same punishment. Outside, they find Playing also running laps. Seeing her exhaustion, Tibet offers to carry her on his back. The next day, while Tibet and Maki are reading, they receive a new task, reorganizing the library books by genre and alphabetically. Fuji is again denied food, and this time, White suffers the same fate. Nai, concerned, shares his portion with White. The 2 hungry students, along with Maki, are then tasked with sweeping the courtyard. Only Jin and Bill remain unpunished, both denying any involvement as the lizard. Fuji suspects Jin, recalling a rumor that he once burned down his father's factory. This revelation shocks the group. Jin, however, defends his actions, explaining that the factory exploited its workers, pushing them to exhaustion without adequate rest. He had refused to perpetuate his father's abusive practices, choosing to destroy the factory instead. Anticipating dinner, the hungry students are disappointed to see Jin and Bill, the only ones with food, dramatically overturn their plates and refuse to eat, further protesting their innocence. Bill believes Jin and supports his decision to burn down the factory, revealing that her own father's unethical business dealings, including land grabs that drove villagers to ruin, have been widely reported in the news. Despite knowing his flaws, Bill still loves her father and struggles to reconcile his actions with her affection for him. The 4 friends approach Jin and Bill, inquiring about their assigned animals, hoping to solve the mystery and end the game. Surprisingly, neither of them is the lizard. Puzzled, the group analyzes the game's rules, realizing the design fosters suspicion and mistrust. After much deliberation, they conclude that Miss Friafan is the lizard. To their astonishment, their guess is correct. Mach, Hugo, and Jingjai are released from confinement. However, Hugo and Jingjai appear dazed and unresponsive, only nodding vaguely when addressed. When Miss Friafan questions them directly, they simply nod again, their behavior unsettling. The headmistress arrives with the mailbox, but it's empty. She informs the students that they have received no letters from home, suggesting their own letters might not have been sent, or that any replies have been intercepted by the lizard. She departs, leaving the students frustrated and uneasy. With the lizard game over, Mr. Amin announces a new game, orchestrated by Mr. Champ. Later that night, Hugo suddenly awakens, staring wide-eyed and muttering about the treatment room, his cries alarming his roommates. Meanwhile, Miss Deluxe disappears and Mr. Prasad is reprimanded by a furious Mr. Amin. Mr. Amin cryptically mentions Miss Deluxe's illness but refuses to elaborate, ordering Mr. Prasad to find her. He then visits Run, forcing him to watch old videos of himself with his sister, leaving Run in tears. The following day, the four friends discuss Hugo and Jingjai's strange behavior since their release. Maki describes encountering Jingjai in the bathroom, obsessively brushing her hair and muttering about needing new eyes, staring blankly until Maki snaps her out of it. Suddenly, Pen's screams echo through the halls. They rush downstairs to find Mech and Mach fighting over stolen food. Even after being separated, they continue their verbal sparring. Mr. Champ's game begins. Each student draws a stick. Black sticks form one team, white sticks the other. Each team collects supplies, matching their assigned color, and competes to gather ingredients for their next meal. Mr. Champ selects two team representatives, Mech and Mach, who seem oddly eager to participate. Mr. Champ presents them with a rope, instructing them to punch each other until one releases the rope. The challenge seems unnecessarily brutal. As the game begins, Mech and Mach viciously attack each other, Mach sustaining a bloody injury. Mech, however, shows no mercy. The other students, disturbed by the violence, try to intervene. Neither Mech nor Mach will release the rope, despite the risk of further punishment. Maki, unable to bear witness to the brutality, runs forward and unties the rope, disregarding the consequences. When Tibet tries to stop her, Mr. Champ pushes him away. Nai then punches Mr. Champ, putting an end to the cruel game. The four friends are punished together, but they accept the consequences without complaint, united in their disapproval of Mr. Champ's methods. Mech and Mach, despite their injuries, are still filled with animosity towards each other. When asked about their hatred, Mech explains that one is favored by their mother and resented by their father, while the other experiences the opposite, creating a toxic dynamic of jealousy and resentment. The families, it turns out, are divided. Mech's father favors Mach, constantly comparing him to Mech, while their mother fiercely defends Mech. This constant parental discord fuels the brothers' rivalry. Pen's simple advice to stop hating each other, however, gives them pause. Meanwhile, the punished group kneels before the Tree of Remorse, each beside a numbered lamp under Miss Yanni's watchful eye. They are to remain there until they accept their wrongdoing. The winning team receives cooking ingredients, with strict instructions not to share with the losing team. Both teams will continue to cook for subsequent meals, perpetuating the division. The hungry losers are relieved when Pen secretly shares his hidden stash of croissants, a small comfort but enough to stave off starvation. The next round of the competition begins with the same rules. Students draw lots to form pairs, who will compete against each other. Hugo is paired with Jingjai, but he forfeits, unwilling to compete against her. In the second round, Fuji and Jin face off. Fuji lands a strategic blow, allowing Jin to release the rope, resulting in a tie. The third match is between Pling and Bill. Their initial aggression gives way to tears and a heartfelt reconciliation, ending in another tie as they release the rope together. The final, decisive round falls to Pen and Mech. Both willingly release the rope, choosing punishment over violence, earning them another 2 days of skipped meals. Mr. Champ departs, and the students, united in their defiance, celebrate their shared act of resistance. As the remorseful group continues their kneeling punishment, they hear a cry resembling Miss Deluxe's voice. Miss Yanni instructs them to stay put while she investigates. Worried, the four disobey and go searching. They find Miss Deluxe barefoot and shivering, muttering about Run being present. When Maki asks where Run is, Miss Deluxe claims she doesn't remember and urges them to flee. The two male teachers arrive, followed by the headmistress, who orders Mr. Forban to escort the students back to the dorms. Maki shares the story of her brother's disappearance with the group. White recalls hearing someone scream in the woods on their first day, and wonders if it was Run. They try to question Miss Deluxe, but she claims to remember nothing, not even being in the woods or knowing who Run is. Mr. Prasad interrupts, warning them against prying into staff matters, and leads Miss Deluxe away. Pen calls an emergency meeting, revealing the others' plan to escape. Maki is hesitant but won't disclose her reasons. Sensing everyone's desperation to leave, she agrees. Recalling the bus that brought them to homeschool, she proposes stealing it. The plan involves creating diversions to lure the teachers away, while someone sneaks into Mr. Amin's office to steal the keys. It's a risky plan, with potentially disastrous consequences if they fail. Meanwhile, Hugo notices Jingjai sitting listlessly, staring into space. She suddenly cries out and collapses unconscious. Miss Freyaphon examines her in the infirmary, attributing her condition to stress and lack of food. That night, the escape plan is set in motion. Maki cuts the power. Pleng reports a fire in the lobby, while Bill and Pen falsely report a kitchen fire, further dividing the staff. Tibet and Nai start a small fire in the courtyard as a final distraction and make their escape. Mek and Mok, tasked with finding the key, easily located in Mr. Amin's desk drawer. Suspecting a trap, they decide to proceed with the escape. Just as they are about to leave, Mr. Amin appears, catching them red-handed. He tells them to abandon their childish plan, questioning whether their families even want them back. Seeing their determination, Mr. Amin allows Mr. Forban to escort them back to the dorms, stating that since they don't consider homeschool their home, he won't force them to stay. Mr. Forban presents a tray of pastries, offering them to anyone who wants to leave. The students, aware that the pastries are likely drugged, hesitate. Hugo and Jingjai are the first to eat, followed by the others, one by one. Maki chooses to stay, bidding farewell to her friends, explaining she has no home to return to. Tibet, torn between his mother and his friends, sadly accepts a pastry. Mr. Amin expresses his satisfaction with Maki's decision, then informs Run that the 6th-year students have left, with only one remaining. Run, upon hearing this, pities his younger schoolmates, knowing that being a homeschool student often means being abandoned by one's family, a place where the wealthy pay to discard their unwanted children. The students awaken the next morning to find themselves back home. Mr. Forban bids them farewell, telling them the car will wait for their return, and wishing them luck. White arrives home to find her belongings outside. Her aunt has sold the house. White, unfazed by the loss of material possessions, only asks for a punch from her aunt. Feeling a mix of anger and resignation, she considers another punch but relents, remembering her aunt as her mother's sister. Mek and Mok return to find their father with his mistress. He informs them he has paid for them to stay at home school for 3 years, and orders them to leave. Their parents have divorced, and their mother has moved abroad with her new husband, considering the twins a burden. At Pen's home, his mother urges him to return to homeschool before his father returns, explaining that staying home will only bring him pain. She apologizes for her inability to protect him, assuring him that homeschool is the only place he will be safe. Fuji arrives to find her father about to remarry. He tells her he no longer wants to support her. Pleng's mother, assuming her daughter is lying again, ignores her, leaving Pleng heartbroken and unwilling to stay. Hugo, instead of going home, follows Jingjai, who is also planning to run away. As they pack, they encounter Jingjai's father in the hallway. He attacks Hugo, accusing him of stealing. He pulls out a gun, but Jingjai quickly knocks him unconscious. Nai returns home to confront his father, seeking answers about his callous treatment and the reasons behind sending him to homeschool. He is left with more questions than answers, and a deep sense of hurt. Bill's father, facing repercussions for his unethical actions, orders her to return to homeschool, choosing to avoid responsibility. Jin is greeted by his father's cruel words, calling him unwanted garbage. Each student faces the harsh reality of their family's rejection, the very reason many of them ended up at homeschool in the first place. Tibet's homecoming is far more tragic. He arrives to find his mother has passed away. Mr. Amin, a close friend of Tibet's father, arrives to comfort him, explaining that he considers Tibet family. Maki, alone at homeschool, eats breakfast. Mr. Prasad inquires about her feelings, asking if she misses her friends or worries about them. He then poses a pointed question. Does she believe the students' return home was part of the school's curriculum, designed to demonstrate that their families were the ones who truly abandoned them? Maki is deeply disturbed by this suggestion. Meanwhile, Miss Freyaphon reveals to Run that Mr. Amin has chosen Tibet for the same treatment. Run endured, partly because Tibet is Mr. Put's son, and partly because Mr. Amin wants him to continue his father's unfinished project. Run expresses his doubts about the project, revealing he never believed in it, especially since Mr. Put lost his life pursuing it. Tibet learns that his father was a teacher at homeschool. Due to the school's strict confidentiality rules, his mother only learned about his father's involvement after his death. Mr. Amin reveals that Tibet's mother begged him to care for Tibet, allowing her to die peacefully. She wanted Tibet to have a fresh start, unburdened by her death. Tibet questions Mr. Amin about his father's suicide. Mr. Amin recalls that Mr. Put refused the school's prescribed medication and treatment. He expresses doubts about the suicide theory, believing Mr. Put was too committed to his important project to take his own life. If Tibet wants to learn more about this project, Mr. Amin tells him he must return to homeschool. Back at the school, Maki follows Miss Deluxe, noticing Mr. Prasad's insistence that she take her medication on time. Aware of Maki's presence, Mr. Prasad calls her out, instructing Miss Deluxe to continue her patrol while he escorts Maki back to the dorms. He warns Maki against breaking the rules, assuring her that homeschool will reveal its secrets in due time, then leaves with a disturbingly cryptic smile. Back with Mr. Amin, the returning students arrive, one by one. Only Nai is missing. Confident that Nai will return, Mr. Amin waits patiently. The students express regret at being back, but acknowledge it as their only option. Mr. Forban offers the familiar tray of drugged pastries. Each student takes one and consumes it. Boarding the bus and falling into a deep sleep, they awaken back at homeschool. Mr. Amin explains the strange occurrences they experienced, revealing them as part of the school's curriculum, designed to prepare them for the harsh realities of the outside world. Homeschool, he explains, is a haven for children abandoned by their families, a place to learn about true friendship and love, experiences denied to them by their families. Later that night, the four friends gather, discussing Tibet's father and the other strange events at homeschool. The mystery deepens. Pen and Pleng, unintentionally overhearing the four friends discussing Run and Mr. Put, learn about Maki's search for her brother. Concerned about the potential consequences if the group breaks school rules, they urge them to be cautious. Pen recalls seeing Mr. Put and Run talking in a video hidden within a bookshelf. Intrigued, the 6 students sneak into the library after lights out. Pen retrieves the book and discovers a hidden memory card. Maki reacts strangely to the book, expressing a sense of unease and fear she can't explain. They find a hidden projector and play the video. It shows Mr. Put and Run playing chess, their conversation unintelligible. Run mentions having nightmares about his sister, who, when frightened, would ask him to read her the story of Pooh Bear, longing for a friend like him. Maki feels a flicker of recognition but can't recall any details. Worried about getting caught, the group returns to their rooms. Meanwhile, the teachers are meeting in the forest, discussing Mr. Amin's plan. The headmistress urges everyone to diligently follow it. Mr. Prasad, laughing strangely, expresses doubts about the plan's success. After some prodding, he reveals his suspicion that Miss Deluxe is deliberately sabotaging it or is being manipulated by someone else, citing 2 sets of footprints he found near where she disappeared. The next morning, Maki wakes up screaming from a nightmare. White and Pleng rush to comfort her. White tells her the others are showering and that the teachers have canceled morning exercises and prepared a welcome-back feast. Wary of another trick, the students cautiously sample the food, finding it surprisingly delicious. Mr. Forban announces a special privilege: they can choose any teacher to spend time with, learning about their thoughts and experiences without fear of punishment. Hugo and Mok choose Mr. Prasad. When asked why, Mok boldly states that he senses Mr. Prasad's inability to connect with others, suggesting he hides his vulnerabilities to protect himself. Bill, Jingjai, and Fuji choose the headmistress, sharing their personal stories with her. The 4 friends choose Miss Freyaphon, who shares her tragic backstory. She was a doctor before joining homeschool. Her husband and son were killed by a reckless 15-year-old driving his father's car. The teenager responsible for the accident faced no consequences, and Miss Freyaphon never received an apology. The boy's wealthy parents ensured the incident was swept under the rug, bribing police and hospital officials. Mr. Put and Mr. Amin helped her through this difficult time. Mac and Jin choose Mr. Champ, who recounts his past as a national athlete, his career sabotaged by rivals, forcing him to abandon his dreams and become a teacher. Pen and Pleng visit Miss Deluxe, finding solace in her music, which brings them a sense of peace and comfort. Each teacher imparts a life lesson, drawn from their own experiences, offering the students a unique perspective on the unspoken rules of the world. Maki, hoping to overcome her recurring nightmares, seeks Miss Freyaphon's help. Though she remembers nothing of the events that haunt her, she trusts Miss Freyaphon to guide her toward the truth. Miss Freyaphon instructs Maki to lie down, close her eyes, imagine a safe and peaceful place, and revisit her childhood. Maki sees herself happily reading Pooh Bear with her brother. Suddenly, her stepfather slams the book on the table, demanding that Maki place her hand down as punishment. He brings the book down hard on her hand. Run tries to intervene but is pushed aside and also punished. Mr. Amin appears, rescuing them both. Maki's memory fades, and she finds Tibet holding her hand, offering comfort. Maki can only recall Mr. Amin taking her to the treatment room. Mr. Amin reveals that everyone at homeschool knows she is Run's sister, but kept it a secret at her request. He also knows her father is actually her stepfather. Run, wanting to protect her from pain and trauma, asked Mr. Amin to erase her memories. Maki asks about the incident, where Run shot their stepfather, and Run's current whereabouts. But Mr. Amin remains evasive, assuring her that she will learn the truth in time. Maki sits alone in the courtyard, trying to remember the day Mr. Amin erased her memories. Tibet joins her. He confides his desire to learn about his father's project, while Maki expresses her curiosity about her brother's past. They agree to trust the school's process, even if the truth is painful. They hold hands, finding comfort in their shared uncertainty. The next day, Tibet and Nai run with Mr. Champ struggling to keep pace. During a break, Nai confides in his crush on White, but is too afraid to confess. Tibet teases him, boasting about holding his crush's hand the previous night. Pen overhears their conversation, and brags about holding both White and Maki's hands. Meanwhile, Jingjai shows off flowers given to her by Hugo, though their relationship remains undefined. The complex dynamics of homeschooling continue to unfold. Fuji cautions Jingjai about the difference between a boy's words during pursuit and his actions once a relationship is established. Jingjai, however, attracted to bad boys, seems unfazed. Bill confesses her former crush on Nai, but now that he has another girl in mind, and everyone knows who that is, she has shifted her affections to Jin. Sharing this information to avoid any potential conflicts within their friend group, the girls playfully suggest that Fuji, given her compatibility with both twins, could enjoy a little two timing. Their lively conversation is interrupted by the headmistress, startling them. Miss Yani announces a schedule change. Each student will attend a special class assigned by the teachers. Miss Freyafon's class begins with a seemingly innocuous treat, a small cake containing a drug meant to facilitate their treatment. She offers no further explanation, only stating that this treatment will better equip them for life outside homeschool. Mr. Prasad instructs his two students, Hugo and Mok, to bring the most important item they possess. Hugo offers a bracelet, the last gift from his brother. Mok brings a family photo. Mr. Prasad places both items in a bin, douses them with oil, and sets them ablaze, explaining that such attachments are weaknesses he intends to eradicate, forging them into stronger individuals. Miss Yani's class focuses on gender equality, discussing the societal disadvantages faced by women and the countless rules imposed upon them. She encourages the girls to recognize their own worth and believe in their power to challenge these oppressive norms. Miss Deluxe, accompanying herself on the piano, listens as pen and playing share their stories, offering a different kind of therapy. She emphasizes the inherent value of all things, regardless of external judgments. Mr. Forban brings Run a snack. With the other teachers occupied, he's been tasked with this duty. Run, seizing the opportunity, uses a seemingly innocent act of stirring his porridge to hypnotize Mr. Forban, triggering painful memories that send him cowering under a table. Run attempts to escape, but is intercepted by Mr. Amin. Mr. Amin, pleased to see Run hasn't forgotten his teachings, engages him in a lengthy debate, ultimately returning him to confinement. The effects of Miss Freyafon's cakes are unknown, but when White awakens, she finds herself and the others kneeling in prayer. Miss Freyafon explains they are undergoing hypnotherapy to heal their emotional wounds, a necessary treatment for all homeschool students. She assures them the staff is aware of each student's personal struggles. With a snap of her fingers, the students regain consciousness. Tibet asks if Hugo and Jingjai's strange behavior is also a result of the cakes. Miss Freyafon reveals they didn't eat the cakes, but were given a stronger medication. The mystery surrounding homeschool's methods deepens. Mr. Prasad offers his students small red jellies. That night, at precisely midnight, Miss Yani leads all those who consume the jellies outside, seemingly under hypnotic control. Fuji, Jingjai, and Bill, like emotionless puppets, are brought to Mr. Amin. Miss Yani instructs them to kneel, close their eyes, and revisit their past traumas before losing all memory of them. This, she explains, is the beginning of the brainwashing process. Following Mr. Amin's instructions, Mr. Forban brings the male students selected for treatment. Fuji is the first. Mr. Prasad leads her to a laboratory and places a strange helmet-like device on her head. He forces Fuji to relive the pain inflicted by her father, then begins to instill a desire for revenge. The night passes. Playing wakes everyone, frantic because Fuji, Jingjai, and Bill are missing. Mr. Amin calls the remaining untreated students to a meeting, telling them not to worry and forbidding them from asking questions, insisting they simply trust him. Meanwhile, Miss Freyaphon, worried about the 6th-year students and having lost faith in Mr. Amin, seeks out Run. She promises to help him escape if he can stop Mr. Amin. The story flashes back 6 years to Run's time as a student. He was Mr. Amin's favorite, the only one who mastered the hypnosis techniques taught by Run's adoptive father, then the owner of homeschool. The adoptive father, motivated by profit and eager to please his wife, Rata, forced Run to befriend her son, Zero. He was a truly villainous figure, caring only for profit and fermented grape juice, indifferent to the well-being of the students. Back in the present, the 4 friends discuss the recent events. Nai is worried about who will disappear next, while Maki grows increasingly certain that Run is imprisoned somewhere within the school. Run questions about Miss Freyaphon's change of heart. She reveals that Mr. Amin has changed, becoming consumed by a desire for revenge, a stark contrast to his earlier belief that violence cannot be solved with violence. Meanwhile, White seeks solace in a late-night walk. Sensing someone following her, she calls out, and Nai sheepishly emerges. He admits to following her, fearing for her safety. White tells him to be direct in the future. When Nai extends his hand, White assumes he wants to hold hers, but he simply wants to hold her lamp for her. Maki and Tibet, also unable to sleep, follow the teachers outside. Instead of pursuing them directly, Maki suggests exploring Mr. Amin's office, hoping to find a hidden room or passage leading to Run. Inside, Tibet discovers a hidden latch, but before they can open it, Mr. Amin catches them. In the basement below, Run hears his sister's voice and becomes agitated. Maki wasn't about to back down from an argument with teacher Amin, even when he kicked her out. He claimed the room downstairs was empty, just her foster dad's old secret room. Maki, not having any of it, firmly sent both Maki and Tibet out as punishment. Meanwhile, the other kids were on edge, worried about Maki and Tibet's punishment. Maki and his brother had gotten in trouble for just sneaking a croissant from Pen, earning them 80 laps around the field from Teacher Champ. Everyone wondered what fate awaited the Lovebirds. Later, Pen and Plang were enjoying a snack when Teacher Prasad appeared, wanting to join them. This already mysterious teacher's strange behavior made them nervous. He proposed a coin-guessing game, but snapped at them for being nosy. When they asked questions, Plang reluctantly guessed for the first round, and surprisingly got it right, earning some popcorn. Everyone agreed he was the weirdest, most eccentric teacher at homeschool. Maki and Tibet were still kneeling outside as punishment, having been there all night. Yani told them to stop trying to uncover the truth, because teacher Amin said it wasn't time yet. She still seemed to have unwavering faith in him. At the same time, Amin was asking teacher Freyaphon about the students' readiness for his project. She tried to persuade him to stop, but he was adamant. He wanted to instill a sense of revenge in the kids. Ignoring her pleas, he demanded she proceed with Project J. Later, Amin sought out Run for a chat, now that they were essentially enemies. He decided to tell Run about homeschool's past, particularly when Run's foster father was younger and more reckless. The secret room was where he used to hide after getting a beating from his father. Only Amin knew about the room, because he was essentially Run's father's servant. He described Run's father as cruel, hot-tempered, and generally awful to the children. During his time there, Amin was both a friend and servant, learning firsthand how upbringing can shape personality. 2 years passed, and Amin became interested in a woman named Finya. However, before he could confess his feelings, Run's father arranged for her to marry him. Finya was a victim, forced into the marriage for financial reasons. She often confided in Amin about her struggles, and he even helped her through hypnosis to find some peace. During a heated argument, Run's father pushed Finya down the stairs, causing her to lose the baby she was carrying. Finya's dreams of motherhood were shattered. Despite this, she chose to stay at homeschool, because being with the children gave her a sense of purpose, a feeling of being their mother. She envisioned the school becoming a true home and family for abandoned children, a place of learning and love. She even gave it the name, Homeschool. Teacher Amin promised Finya he would help her realize this dream. Not long after, Finya succumbed to an illness and passed away. Amin, who already resented a world that oppressed the poor, now harbored an even deeper hatred for those who hurt his loved ones. This became the driving force behind his twisted vision for homeschool. Years passed, and Run's father decided to sell the house without a second thought. Amin wanted to keep it to start a school for orphans, but his father refused. So Amin shifted his focus to children abandoned by wealthy families, kids whose parents didn't want them. These children would attend the school, and their families would pay handsomely. Amin planned to use hypnosis to modify the children's behavior and thinking, all for profit. Run's father readily agreed, completely unaware that Amin's true motive for homeschooling was revenge against a world he saw as twisted and unfair. Run, curious about why his father adopted him and his brother, was told by Min that it was merely for appearances, nothing more. Min's thinking changed when he learned he was terminally ill. Before, whenever Run wanted to rebel against his foster father, Min would advise him against it. He argued that fighting violence with violence only creates another monster. He didn't want Run to become a monster because of his father's actions. He offered a different path, attending homeschool, where he would help Run become stronger. After his diagnosis, Min, driven by his vision for homeschool, decided against seeking treatment abroad. His mindset darkened. He forced his father to hand over the school at gunpoint, and then hypnotized him into committing suicide. He manipulated Run into believing he was responsible for his father's death, fostering both guilt and a strange respect for Min. Fearing his time was short, Min summoned Prasad, urging him to accelerate their project. Prasad, noticing Min's declining health and increasingly erratic behavior, offered to take over Run's treatment. Elsewhere, Maki woke up in the infirmary with Tibet, unsure how they got there. Her legs ached terribly from kneeling for so long. Teacher Freifon hinted about Project J, telling them that the answers they sought were hidden within a book called Pew Bear, which documented Teacher Put's project. She wouldn't reveal more, wanting them to discover the rest themselves. Maki and her friends went to the library and continued watching the tapes. Skipping past the initial conversation, they reached the part where Run was taken for treatment. This was the part about Project J, designed to restore Run to a normal state, erasing his emotional pain and trauma. Put and Min had created a special formula. Chewing it would supposedly make him forget everything. After watching the video, Tibet felt that Min had strayed from the project's original purpose, twisting it into something harmful. They pondered the meaning of J, beyond, J cover. Suddenly, Tibet realized J Avenger, revenge. At that moment, Teacher Prasad entered, clapping. He praised Tibet for his correct answer, implying a confrontation was imminent. He told the kids to get some sleep. Later, he visited Run, bringing him breakfast. Run challenged him to a coin-guessing game, the one Prasad often played. If Run won, Prasad would have to answer a question. Prasad, refusing to reveal anything, simply promised to beat Run in a rematch that night, and then left. A new day began. Teacher Prasad, monitoring the grounds through security cameras, received news that Teacher Min had collapsed unconscious under the wishing tree. Fortunately, Teacher Freifon was with him. Min had been experiencing frequent fainting spells and other symptoms recently, yet he remained fixated on his plan. Freifon decided to put her plan to help Run escape into action that night. She promised to take care of Maki, assuring Run that his escape was the only way to stop Project J. She gave him a pen, instructing him to use it and run if anything went wrong. In the dead of night, the Mok brothers snuck into the kitchen for a snack. Mok found a box of red jelly hidden in a classroom and shared it with his brother. The consequence of eating without checking the expiration date or instructions? They both passed out. Luckily, Pen, on his way to hide croissants, found them and ran for help. Maki, torn between helping the brothers and Freifon's escape plan, rushed to the brothers' aid. It was time for Run's session in the secret room. He was brought to the treatment room, but Teacher Prasad hadn't arrived yet, and Min was unwell. Seizing the opportunity, Run used the pen, which contained a hypnotic suggestion, on the two teachers guarding him, causing Teacher Champ to take a tumble. Next, he targeted Teacher Forbin. Having mentally counted his steps every time he was brought to the treatment room, Run easily navigated his way back to Min's office. Upon arriving, Run found Min hypnotized by Prasad. Prasad had begun controlling Min after learning of his illness. Prasad, too, aimed to make the students forget their past and embark on a path of revenge. But his methods were far more violent. Run demanded the truth about his stepfather's death. Prasad advised him to forget it, warning that the truth would change his perception of Min. Run insisted, so Prasad reluctantly recounted the events of a few years prior. Run's stepfather, greedy for more money, had pressured Min to recruit more students, threatening to close the school otherwise. This pressure exacerbated Min's illness. He couldn't accept his own fate while a man like Run's stepfather thrived. Desperate for a cure, Min had asked Teacher Put for the legendary pink jelly, while Prasad hypnotized him to keep him functioning at home school and away from hospitals. One day, Min overheard a conversation between Run and his stepfather, in which Run was instructed to befriend the wealthy, rich kids. Prasad suggested that Min eliminate Run's stepfather to gain full control of the school. Initially, Min held to his belief that violence wasn't the answer, but Prasad hypnotized and manipulated him. Back in the present, Run became Prasad's ultimate challenge. Knowing he couldn't confront Run directly, Prasad subtly brought up Run's sister. Run instantly reacted, pulling the pen from his pocket and holding it to Prasad's throat. Prasad, Perversely delighted, goaded Run, knowing he couldn't bring himself to do it. Run eventually lowered the pen and tried it on Amin, but it had no effect. Prasad revealed that Mac was part of Project J, urging Run to cooperate. He warned that there were limits to how much he could endure. Run, enraged, punched Prasad and stormed off. Meanwhile, Mak and Mek were still unconscious from the jelly. The infirmary wasn't equipped to handle their condition, so the principal decided to take them to the hospital. Freyaphon sent the other kids back to their rooms. Maki, having found Freyaphon's knife earlier, returned it to her. She questioned Freyaphon about carrying a knife in the woods, but Freyaphon didn't answer, only assuring them she was trying to protect everyone. She then headed into the woods with the knife, where she encountered Teacher Champ and learned of Run's successful escape. Maki, still determined to follow the group, sensed danger and insisted on accompanying Freyaphon. So the whole group headed out together. They ran into Run coming out of Amin's office. Maki, quick as a flash, jumped on her brother. Run urged everyone to leave with him, but Prasad blocked their path. Brandishing a weapon, he froze them in their tracks. He then produced a coin, proposing a deadly game. Heads, one of them becomes a hostage. Tails, they get to escape. He flipped the coin, and it landed on Tails, granting them a 10-second head start. They sprinted for the gate, only to collide with Teacher Champ. Nai lunged forward, only to be met with a painful blow. Run tried to use the hypnotic pen, but he had dropped it. Just as they were cornered, Freyaphon appeared, holding the knife and taking Forbin hostage. However, Prasad, one step ahead, revealed a deadlier weapon, a gun. He disarmed Freyaphon, handing her over to Forbin while he circled the group, menacingly wielding the firearm. His expression was described as disturbing and grotesque. The students were locked in the dorm without food or water. The next morning, Prasad visited the boys' dorm, intending to punish someone for the escape. He forced Pen to play a hot potato game to choose the unlucky victim. When Pen refused, Prasad pulled out his gun, ultimately selecting Pen as the example. In the girls' dorm, Plang was chosen. Prasad injected both Pen and Plang with a mysterious substance. Before proceeding, he flipped a coin. Heads, Pen would be punished. Tails, Plang. With a sinister grin, he revealed his intent to further torment one of them, and then tied them together. Later, he brought the remaining students to the wishing tree, producing several unlabeled bottles. 2 contained antidotes, and 2 contained salt water. Their task: use their knowledge of chemistry to identify the antidotes and save Pen and Freyaphon. He revealed that Freyaphon was in the treatment room, but refused to disclose its location, leaving them to find it themselves. With the poison pair separated, Run, knowing the treatment room's location, set off to find Freyaphon, while the others went to rescue Pen. The most pressing issue was finding the correct antidotes before it was too late. Run, taking a chance, grabbed a bottle and ran. Nai, after a moment of hesitation, grabbed another and rushed back to the school. Run, having meticulously memorized the route to the treatment room, navigated there with ease. Meanwhile, Pen had lost consciousness, alarming Plang. Despite her efforts, she couldn't wake him. By the time the others returned, she was frantic. Run arrived at the treatment room. Both Freyaphon and Pen were untied. It was a gamble whether either had the antidote. Tibet and Run, after a moment of hesitation, prepared the injections. Freyaphon urged Run to save the children, no matter what happened to her. Both she and Pen were injected simultaneously. Pen remained unresponsive, prompting Tibet to perform CPR. After a tense moment, Pen's eyes fluttered open. Everyone was pale with relief. Freyaphon, unfortunately, had chosen the wrong bottle and passed away. Meanwhile, Amin, in a strange turn of events, encountered Run's stepfather in a dreamlike state. His stepfather urged him to wake up. As Run grieved, Prasad appeared, cruelly blaming Run's choice of bottle for Freyaphon's death. He pressed Run to join him in Project J, even offering him the supplies he needed. Run, however, remained resolute, refusing to become the monster Prasad wanted him to be. Prasad chuckled, wiping his face with a handkerchief, and revealed a chilling secret: he had already created new monsters. Back with the others, everyone was on edge. Though Pen was temporarily out of danger, the situation remained tense. White tried to persuade Forbin to help them escape, but he refused. Tibet and Nai also tried to reason with him, to no avail. They waited for Run's return. Forbin, seeing Prasad, instantly knew Freyaphon was gone. Prasad twisted the knife, emphasizing Run's role in her death. Nai, unable to contain his rage, punched Prasad, unleashing a torrent of anger. Tibet struggled to restrain him. Run intervened, cautioning against acting rashly, warning that deviating from Prasad's plan could be disastrous. He advised everyone to return to their rooms. Prasad summoned Champ and Forbin, wanting to ensure their loyalty to homeschool after Freyaphon's betrayal. Outside, Run and Tibet watched a heartbroken Maki, her face etched with grief. Run comforted her, reminding her of their reunion after 6 long years. He vowed to stop Prasad and his project, convinced that it would lead to more deaths, just like their stepfathers, which he now knew was orchestrated by Prasad. Yani, returning to homeschool and learning of Freyfan's death, became even more determined to stop Prasad. Just then he arrived, intending to take Deluxe away to adjust her attitude, before she, too, betrayed homeschool. He warned Yani against interfering, threatening to unleash the brainwashed children on her and Deluxe if she didn't cooperate and care for them. The next morning, White and the Maki siblings went to the dining hall, puzzled by the presence of a water filter. Suddenly, Hugo, Jingjai, and Bill appeared, their behavior drastically altered. Jingjai was now strangely compliant, a stark contrast to her usual self. Hugo and Bill were similarly transformed, almost robotic in their demeanor. The three insisted everyone drink the water, even pulling out chairs for them with unsettling politeness. Later, Pleng, returning from the restroom, encountered Bill outside. He seemed different, his eyes filled with a disturbing intensity, almost a predatory glare. Yani intervened, subtly dismissing Bill before warning Pleng never to be alone and to avoid Bill's group, as they were no longer themselves. Pleng relayed this to the others, who were already worried about Tibet's disappearance earlier that day. Just as they were discussing this, Prasad arrived, infuriating White. Run told him to drop the fake pleasantries, calling it disgusting. Prasad reminisced about their first meeting, recalling Run's screams from the woods when he had carved lines into Run's skin with a nail clipper. He laughed, brandishing the same clipper. This time, it was Maki who wanted to attack him, but Run held her back. Suddenly, a gunshot rang out. Prasad, unfazed, dismissed it as part of the project. Elsewhere, Nai and Tibet followed Forbin to the treatment room. They too heard the gunshot, but Forbin remained silent, only cryptically stating that they were the key to the project, and that if they didn't obey him, Maki and White would be in danger. That night, Mok, hungry in the infirmary, asked Pen to find him some food. Apparently not having learned their lesson from the jelly incident, they were met at the dining hall by Jingjai, wielding a cleaver and chasing them away. Terrified, they ran into a room and hid. Jingjai, still wielding the cleaver, pursued them relentlessly. Pen tried to attack her from behind, but was caught. Mok jumped in, wrestling for the knife. The struggle escalated until Yani arrived, just in time to prevent Mok from being suffocated by Jingjai. The following morning, Yani explained that Jingjai was suffering from the drug's side effects, causing erratic behavior. Without the medication administered on time, she would become extremely volatile. Yani admitted her powerlessness against Prasad, warning them that defiance would have dire consequences. Run and Maki were with Prasad, who was snacking and complaining about their lack of entertainment. He was bored, but reiterated that Project J had begun, and sooner or later, they would all embrace his plan for revenge. Through some means, the parents of the homeschool students were brought to the school, becoming unwitting participants in Prasad's twisted game. The first target was Nai's father, a man of power and influence. Despite his desperate pleas, Prasad remained unmoved, summoning a hypnotized Nai, whose presence terrified his father. Meanwhile, the boys in their dorm, hearing the commotion outside, tried to investigate. Fuji and Jin entered, their expressions unnervingly cheerful, and their behavior disturbingly polite, frightening the others. The next day, those who hadn't been hypnotized were confined. Run explained Prasad's plan, revenge against the parents. He intended to strip them of their wealth and status, reducing them to nothing. More importantly, he explained that Fuji, Bill, Jingjai, and Hugo, all deeply hurt and resentful of their parents, were easily manipulated and now consumed by hatred. Only a Min could restore them to their former selves. The four had now ingested the deadly jelly and were preparing for Project J. Prasad explained the game to the parents. They would be released into the woods, hunted by their own children, each armed with a weapon. The parents, still clinging to hope, believed their children wouldn't harm them. Prasad laughed, showing them videos of their initial interviews upon entering homeschool. The clips revealed their deep-seated resentment, even hatred for their children. These videos were shown repeatedly to the students during their treatment. Prasad gave the parents 99 seconds to run before releasing the students. Nai's wealthy father was released first, followed by Bill's mother, then the others, with Bill's father last. Yani, seizing an opportunity, slipped away to the students, seeking Run's help. Others wanted to join, but she refused, relenting only after Maki's persistent pleas. Run had a plan to stop Prasad, though the chances of success were slim. Outside, the parents scattered into the woods. Hugo, armed with a gun, pursued his father, nearly catching him. He then encountered Jingjai's mother but showed little interest, his focus solely on his own father. Jin caught up to Jingjai's father, while Bill found her mother hiding in the infirmary with his father. Each student approached their parents with a disturbingly sweet facade, feigning love and concern. Bill's father begged his daughter to help him escape. She agreed, but with chillingly murderous intent. Elsewhere, the situation with Fuji was equally tense. When her father twisted his ankle, she cruelly snapped it back into place, eliciting a scream of pain. Jin and Jingjai's fathers, more fortunate, managed to escape. Nai's father, despite his head start, couldn't outrun his son. Nai, wielding a golf club, the same one his father used to beat him, waited. Others arrived to intervene, but the hypnotized students were incredibly strong. Meanwhile, Run reached Amin, determined to bring him back. He appealed to their bond, reminding Amin of his care and concern, how he was like a father to him. Run embraced him, calling him Dad. After a tense silence, Amin stirred, repeatedly apologizing to Run for his suffering. Elsewhere, Nai, feigning the effects of hypnosis, played along with Prasat's plan. He used the opportunity to finally express his long-suppressed anger and resentment towards his father. Maki's group arrived just then. It was revealed that Forban had protected Nai from being hypnotized. Nai, having made up his mind to stay at home school, offered his father a memory-erasing treat, arguing that his powerful father would shut down the school if he remembered what happened. Tibet confronted Prasat, unafraid despite having a gun pointed at his head. He even taunted Prasat, pointing out vulnerable spots to shoot. Prasat tried to manipulate Tibet, bringing up his father, pushing his buttons. Tibet snapped, grabbing Prasat. It turned out Prasat had strangled Tibet's father, after overhearing him express a desire to leave homeschool and return to his family. Prasat had then staged it as a suicide, using the incident to try to manipulate Tibet into becoming another monster. Prasat's relentless taunting earned him a kick to the face, followed by mocking laughter from Tibet. He pointed the gun at Prasat, struggling with the urge to pull the trigger. Amin arrived just in time, urging him to stop. Run and Yani joined in, finally persuading Tibet to lower the guns. Prasat, undeterred, cryptically warned Run to worry about his sister's group. Run immediately raced off to find Maki. As he feared, Champ had discovered Forban's betrayal and was now pursuing the trio with gunfire. As they fled, White tripped and fell, allowing Champ to catch up. Maki shielded the others and was shot in the abdomen. She collapsed, and Champ prepared to finish them off. Suddenly, Forban intervened, tackling Champ, urging the others to escape while he bought them time. Maki, bleeding profusely, couldn't move. Forban, no match for Champ, was quickly overpowered. Champ retrieved his gun and resumed his pursuit, firing as he went. Nai, letting the girls go ahead, turned back to confront Champ. He was like a rabid pit bull, and Nai was no match for his fury, taking a brutal beating. Meanwhile, White struggled to support Maki back to the school, but she was weakening rapidly, soon collapsing. White held her, sobbing. Run and Tibet found them. Maki, barely conscious, whispered that she didn't want to die before passing out. Run asked Tibet to take her back to the school, and then ran off to confront Champ. Elsewhere, Mach and Mek had captured and tied up Fuji. Hugo, Jingjai, and Jin were still pursuing their parents. Fuji's father, seeing his daughter bound, urged the brothers to hurt her, pushing their limits. Mach snapped, berating him before sending him away. Bill confronted Plang, Pen desperately trying to dissuade her. Bill's father, overhearing their exchange, was overcome with remorse and apologized to his daughter. Jingjai caught her mother. As she raised her sword, she hesitated, ultimately letting it go. Hugo's father also realized his mistakes. Each parent, confronted by their child's pain, took responsibility for their actions. The love between them, however twisted, stopped the children at the brink of violence. Amin, meanwhile, was urging Prasat to abandon his revenge plan, arguing that the children's love would ultimately prevail. Run found Champ brutally beating a bloodied and unconscious Nai. Knowing he couldn't defeat Champ physically, Run used the hypnotic pen. Champ, triggered by the sight of the pen, began to beat himself. Run didn't stop until Deluxe and Forban arrived, warning him that he was becoming the monster Prasat wanted him to be. They returned to homeschool. Maki was rushed to the hospital. The hypnotized students returned to normal, and the terrified parents were given memory-erasing treatments. Amin arranged for Prasat and Champ to be committed to a mental institution. Before leaving, Prasat warned that Project J would continue, even without him, hinting that someone else would carry on his work. Amin and Run went to the basement room. Amin apologized for confining Run there, but Run didn't blame him, knowing Prasat was the true mastermind. They shared a heart-to-heart, and Amin thanked Run for protecting homeschool. A month later, Maki, fully recovered, returned to homeschool, greeted by a beaming Tibet, who showered her with affection. Nai, not to be outdone, also expressed his feelings for White, earning a kiss on the cheek. Late that evening, teacher Amin walked alone in the courtyard, speaking to Finya's spirit. believing he had fulfilled his promise to make homeschool a true home for orphan children. Knowing his time was short, he cherished his remaining days with the students. He wrote a will, leaving his entire estate to Run, entrusting him with the care of homeschool. After finishing the letter, he went to his room to rest. It was the last time anyone saw him alive. The next morning, Yani and Run brought breakfast to Amin, only to find him lifeless in his bed. Run, heartbroken, embraced the cold body, unable to speak. Months passed. Under Run's care, homeschool slowly returned to normal. Deluxe found joy in her work, free from coercion. Yani, though still disliking classroom chatter, became less strict. Realizing the students' happiness was her own, life became less harsh. They ate what they wanted, enjoying simple pleasures. Yani felt that everyone was finally at peace, doing what made them happy. She believed Amin would be pleased, knowing no one would be left behind or hurt by their past again. Then, one day, a familiar face appeared, filling Run with unease. Zizo, the rich kid his father had forced him to befriend. Was he a message from Prasad? What new turmoil would he bring? Only time would tell if the director would provide answers. The movie ends here. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel if you're new here on YouTube. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on more exciting movies. See you again.